everyone. Today I am joined on the podcast by the fabulous Hannah Spence of Clockflower Solutions, which is a social media marketing agency focusing on working with and supporting underrepresented business owners and professionals. Hello, Hannah. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Lucy. Thank you for having me. Super
How are
excited
you?
to be here. I'm really well, thank you. It's like summer has arrived. Touch wood, where's the wood? So yeah, really enjoying the sunshine.
We first met at Digital Women, didn't we? Which is a fantastic community for women working any which way in the digital landscape. Obviously, we actually do very similar things with social media. But you were on the marketing panel for International Women's Day that Digital Women did down in Ashford, and it was just fantastic. And I loved your energy and the way you talked about things. It was brilliant. And then a couple of weeks ago you did the interactive session again with Digital Women about social media marketing, and the way it was delivered and everything, I mean, strong teacher vibes, but it was just so engaging. I loved it. I came away absolutely beaming after that.
That's
But
lovely
yeah,
to
so
hear.
you didn't actually start out in marketing. Tell us a bit about your career and what led you to where you are now.
My squiggly career journey. So how far back do we go? Let's start with, well, I spent 10 years as a primary school teacher. Before that, I dibbled and dabbled a little bit in home office as a civil servant, but majority of my career was primary school teaching and loved it. And then COVID hit and things changed drastically, as you probably feel. Even if you're not a teacher, you would probably feel that. You would have felt that shift as a parent as well.
My goodness, COVID, I've always had ultimate respect for teachers, but that just like cemented it so hard into my brain. I couldn't do it. I know I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was such a turning point, but also like for me in terms of where do I want to go from here, how much, so much had changed. And I'd also discovered the ability to teach online, which prior to COVID and like Zoom and everything, I don't think many people had considered leveraging that to the way I could. So I started my online tutor business, which was aiming to help underrepresented children get into the top grammar and independent schools across the UK. So that was my first project. And then, like many business owners that you probably also talk to, Lucy, like the struggle to actually use social media to get clients is real. And I felt that with my tutor business as well. So I thought, what do I do here? Let me learn. My son, who is now 18, said, "You can do it, Mum. Like people make money off YouTube and social media all the time." And I thought, oh, cringe. But I went out there. I dibbled and dabbled and learned lots of different strategies in terms of engaging people, video editing. And then I launched that out into the world to help other business owners. And really it was to help. And that's kind of where my focus has been. And yeah, now we're 2 years in and it's an official business and I'm loving it. And I get to meet people like you, Lucy, and your audience. So yeah, it's been a phenomenal journey.
That's so incredible. It sounds so interesting and varied, but it all kind of works
Makes
out,
sense.
doesn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
I love
Exactly.
it was just some that was like your cheerleader to do it. I think that's just brilliant.
And he's still my greatest cheerleader, which is awesome.
That's so nice.
Still the first to hit like, still the first to let me know if I've made a mistake.
Well, that's not a bad thing. That can be like you need someone to call you out on things, and sometimes it's something simple like just another pair of eyes to look at something. So I know one of the things I've experienced a lot and still do now is imposter syndrome. Is this something that you've experienced or struggled with at all?
Huge, every day. Sometimes I get imposter syndrome in different roles. So I feel it as a business owner, like, oh, do I actually know what I'm doing? Am I good enough? Like all of those. But I also get that a lot as a parent. Like, am I actually an adult enough to adult these pre-adult people?
Yes, totally get that actually.
So yeah, it does creep up quite often. And does it creep up for you as well?
Yeah, massively. Like yesterday, for example, I was working in the morning, I was feeling great and I was on top of things, and I stood up to make a cup of tea and a migraine hit me out of nowhere and floored me for 24 hours. And then I was like, oh, I can't do this. I shouldn't be running a business. I can't manage things. And I spiraled really quickly and then woke up this morning and I was like, no, I can do this. But it's just one tiny thing can just knock you completely. I was doing a masterclass with Nikki Hutchinson.
I know
and
Nikki.
It's been a 3-day thing she's been doing over the last few days. I missed it yesterday because I wasn't well, so I caught up this morning, and I was feeling so empowered after that. I was like feeling on top of the world. I did a big quote I sent off last week, big proposal for what could be my biggest client, and I hadn't heard from them. So I was like, I need to call them. And I'd sent a follow-up email and I hadn't heard anything. And I was like, I need to phone them. No, I'm not going to phone them. But after this morning, I was like, no, I'm going to phone them. So I phoned them and they were so lovely. They'd been caught up with something, but they've seen it. They're going to get back to me. And it was all positive. And I was like, yes.
Excellent. And sometimes it's like it's often our own head voice. It just pops up that's like, you can't do this. And it's great because you had, I guess, an internal mind shift, like, yes, I can. But what I found really useful is actually having a network of people around me to say, you can do it. And I think that's what drew me into the whole digital women community, but then also reminds me of the importance of networking and meeting like-minded women who, if you do have the dip, they can rally around you and say, no, you can do it. It's just temporary. I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, I think, definitely that's one of the biggest things I think with networking as well. A lot of people see it as you do it to meet new clients, but the support network I think is so much more valuable.
100%. And often those who rally around you, who become your friends, can also become your clients. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it can do. And then it's not who you know, it's who they know, and then it can like escalate in that way. You have got a brilliant personal brand online. I think you've got a fantastic presence, particularly on LinkedIn. How have you gone about cultivating that?
Oh, that's a really strong question. I'd say number one is just be yourself. So just be yourself. All of the things that you think are quirky and strange about you, everybody will love. So that's the first thing. And just put it out there. Like, don't hold back. Don't wait for perfection, for the perfect hair or the perfect background. I was so obsessed about those things in the beginning. I was like, wait, I need to paint this whole wall and then I'm going to have art behind me. Obviously, I never did any of those. I'm currently in my kitchen. So I was never, ever going to do that. But it held me back from actually showing up and explaining who I am and who I help. So ultimately, I was like, you know what? Everyone can just embrace this lonely IKEA clock on the wall and this paint that needs to be touching and my hair that got windswept to I rushed down 3 flights of stairs. Like, that is who we are. And I think it's really important that you embrace the imperfections.
I think, I know everyone says it's a buzzword at the moment, but I just think authenticity is just everything. You've got to be yourself because people buy from people and people engage with people. Yeah, I think that's why I've got all my Lego and random sloths and cuddly toys, which aren't mine, they're my kids. Yeah, it's all part of my chaos.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so important. And I think if you try and change that, people can see through it immediately. And if they don't see through it, you end up having clients that you don't really vibe with. So that's another important thing. Because I did go through a bit of a shift. I was like, oh, I want this. I think I went to a seminar and thought, I want this high ticket client, whatever that means. So I'm going to like wear a blazer to all of my meetings and like do my lipstick. And actually, those are the clients that I really liked working with least.
Interesting. The ones you think you've got to impress the most. Yeah.
Exactly. So just be who you are. Show up consistently to build that personal brand and
the consistency.
Go with the flow. Yeah, go with the flow. Things change. Like in your business, sometimes you're on a mission to do one thing, to launch one service, and then your audience feeds back that they need something else. That's okay. Like, it's okay to shift. I'm going through that transition at the moment where I've talked a lot, obviously, about social media marketing, but then people also want to know how to leverage networks, how to become award-winning. So it's okay to also shift and maybe talk about those things as well. It's okay.
So obviously you've been a teacher, you're very good at talking. Is that something that's always come naturally to you? Because you do like speaking at events and things like that. Has that always come easily to you? Because it genuinely terrifies me.
Oh my goodness, I've always been a talker. So I've actually got a friend who's also a business owner, international speaker. She's been instrumental in my journey as well. We used to get into trouble all the time at secondary school for talking. Like, we were thrown out of class because all we did was talk. But now we're like, now we get paid to talk. It's pretty cool. So I think that's what yes, like I do love talking. The minute you said, Lucy, do you want to be on a podcast? I was like, yes, I can 100% talk for over an hour. But it's not for everybody. And I think that's actually, it's okay. I think it's important to dive into what your strengths are. And that's why I went from the home office into teaching, because I couldn't talk a lot in the home office. Like, I wasn't part of parliament. There's a lot of office work. And I thought, no, I need to speak all the time. So then teaching helped. But then actually the students out talked me. I'm like, this is not where I need to be.
Amazing.
So yeah, this is now like a nice little niche that I'm in, where, you know, I get to talk, but also obviously it's about interacting and getting to know people and following that journey. And that's definitely something that I missed in teaching. You know, the children leave and that's it. That then with the women I work with, I get to stay part of that journey beyond the year. So it's got a different sense of reward for sure. And what about you? You said you don't like talking, Lucy, but here you are, the Crescent podcast.
Yeah, I think it's the live talking to lots of people. Me just talking with you on here, I can pretend that no one's ever going to see it and it's fine. And I don't know how many people have been watching it, but it's very different to standing in front of even like the Digital Women, where there may be like 20 people or so. I could not do that at all. I get too flustered, I panic, my mind goes blank. Prior to COVID, I had my own event business, and I was at a networking event. I've been invited along to my first time there. There was over 100 people in the room, and no one had told me I was going to have to stand up and introduce myself and explain about my business with a microphone.
My
and I think it was
goodness
the
sakes.
microphone bit that broke me. There was about 7 of us that it was our first time, so we all stood up there, and I was at the back, and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. I don't know what I do. I don't know who I am. I don't know what's going on. And I also knew there were a lot of competitors in the room, and it wasn't, like, I don't find other social media managers as competitors. I find it all collaborative, but it wasn't like that in that industry in the same way. So I was given the microphone and I started talking, and my brain just went completely blank, and I just looked around at everyone, and it was a massive room, and I just kind of went, dropped the microphone and ran off.
Oh
And
my
it's kind of
goodness.
scarred me.
I'm stuck with you.
It's literally like a nightmare. And
I
I tried to embrace it and make light of it afterwards, and I was like, oh well, these things happen, everyone will remember me now. But it just,
That is tough.
no.
And I think they missed the beat about like kind of reading the room. So, you know, it's really hard to put people on, it's not ideal to put people on a spot like that. And I think that reflects not so much on you and your ability to pick up, but really on whoever was hosting, to be like, okay, let me just prime the audience, maybe, you know, give people a chance to warm up to it. There's definitely a knack, and I enjoy speaking, but also a lot of it is pre-prepared. Even like I had a chance to think about what I'm going to say before I
Yeah, of
ask a
course.
question, or what the workshop is. Like, it doesn't come. I mean, I can just talk, but then it'll just be a ramble. And you've done a great job as well with even with hosting a podcast. Like, you've done so much prep in supporting and providing those questions, so that when people come, they feel prepared and feel confident.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I never thought I would be able to do a podcast or anything like that. But I was a guest on someone else's podcast, and I actually really enjoyed it. I came away from it and I was like, that was actually really quite fun. And I like talking to people and getting to know them, but I find it easier one-on-one than in a big group. And yeah, it just kind of spiraled, and I love it. And I get to have lovely people like you, so it's great.
Yeah, and that's it as well, isn't it? It's kind of what we talked about before, like just finding your niche. Like, sometimes it's just not your bag, like, and that's great. I think it's great that we have the freedom, you know, at our age. My son's 18, so he has less freedom to pick and choose what he wants to do, but we have the freedom to know what we enjoy, know what our strengths are, and carve our own way out in that. And that's really, but I would like to see you speak in front of an audience one day. Just my own, yay.
We'll see.
We'll get you that one.
Yeah, that's got me really anxious now.
It's fine.
You recently launched a new initiative with Louise Adolphson. Can you tell me about that and how that works?
Oh my gosh. So this is what I mean about like going out and networking. So I met Louise through another client I was working with. She did a personal brand shoot for me. I loved it. I thought, this is great. And then we just have a great vibe together. We can talk about business, life, ever. And then in our conversations, it turns out that a lot of my clients, I give them the social media strategy, or I agree to do their social media management, and then they really struggle to come up with the content to build that personal brand. That's a great problem. And I'm much better now at nailing that down in an onboarding call to say it's on you to provide me with the content. But actually, that is quite huge. And, again, Lucy, it's like what you said, if you've got a real fear or there's a real barrier to you doing something, it's not very useful me saying, well, you just talk to the camera face to face for 2 minutes. Like, that's not easy for everyone. And then Louise was saying, I do these content days and people get these fantastic photos and they take videos around these luxury venues, and then they just sit in their phone, or they choose their photos and they just sit again on the phone. So we said, well, I think we're missing something here. I think we need to partner up to make sure that, yes, people have a social media marketing strategy for their business, but then also can use those assets, those high quality assets to leverage that and to build that personal brand that represents professionalism and confidence and vibrancy. So boom, we finally made it happen, which is not easy with like two business women juggling kids and life and everything, but we've made it happen. So 2nd of July is going to be our debut launch to the public. So yeah, we're super excited about that. What attracted you to it? Lucy, you were like one of the first to like. Like, what was it about?
Because it was the perfect answer. As a social media manager, I can do everyone else's, but just having time for my own and thinking, you're always thinking of something new to do or a different way of doing something. And with my clients, it's fine. I just do it, but then my own always gets left behind. And I have just had a recent photo shoot which was brilliant. I'm trying to use the photos as much as I can, but again, it's getting around to it and finding a new way or a different way of using that content. So when you put it out on LinkedIn, I was like, yeah, I need to hear more about this for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the aim is that we spend one day and create 3 months worth of content. So I'll be there supporting building out the content calendar. So, your ideas for captions and what that content looks like will be there as well. What I'm also really excited about is that it's a community. There'll be 10 of us in a room when we're at like full capacity. So there's going to be diverse ideas, because it's great that we have our ideas, Lucy, and my ideas, your ideas, but then to have other people who aren't necessarily social media managers, it's going to give us a whole fresh perspective. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. That's like what you were saying about like your son being like a second pair of eyes on your work. Just having someone else's input and even just a slightly different perspective could just give you a whole load of inspiration. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Hey, well, hopefully we'll see you there. Yeah.
Mentioned your sons. You've got 2 sons, am I right?
Yeah. So I've got 2 sons. One is just doing his A-levels now, so he's 18 next month. And then my other one is 10. Yeah,
so how do you
they keep me on my toes.
I'm sure. How do you find juggling parenthood and a business? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Actually, one of the reasons I went into entrepreneurship was to give me more flexibility. So my youngest was recently diagnosed with ASD, which presents different challenges, and I just couldn't be present for him when he needed me. So after when we moved here, I was originally from London and moved here to Kent, he would have like breakdowns and meltdowns and just be like selective, like mute and not comply. And the school would call me to come and pick him up. But then how do I do that when I've got 32 children of my own sitting in front of me? Yes. So that was really hard. So I thought I'll become an entrepreneur and I'll have more time. But I don't have more time, sadly, but I do have more flexibility about how I use that time, which is great. So now I can do the drop off, pick up.
Yeah, and I think that's key, and that's what I found with myself. I don't know if you know, but I've talked about it previously on the podcast. My youngest is diagnosed autistic. I've since been diagnosed autistic as well, just over a year ago now. It's been a massive learning curve. I mean, my youngest, he's 6 now, and he got diagnosed when he was 3. Obviously, he started school in that time, and he's in a mainstream school, and I can't fault them. They're fantastic. Gone above and beyond, but we are now starting to see, he's in year 1, so it's that when they're half sitting down at the desk learning and they're half free play. So that's starting to
Formal
present
part kicks
challenges.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. And he doesn't like that. He really struggled. So it was a bank holiday Monday this week, and Tuesday he couldn't understand why he had to go to school. He thought he was off for the rest of the week. He thought it was another half term.
Yeah.
And just having a one day off for no reason, as far as he can see, threw him completely. Which then throws out my morning,
Of
because
course.
typically I'm the one. My husband works from home a lot, but typically I'm the one doing the school runs, and it's hard. So I think, as you're
Yeah,
saying, that flexibility is absolutely key.
100%. And yeah, my son was actually, we had the same conversation with my son because he was like, oh, so this Monday is a bank holiday too. I'm like, no, it was just the Monday, it was just this week. He was like, no, but it's now every Monday, right? I'm like, no, it was just that one. It's one Monday. And he was like, so there's no more bank
in a
holiday.
few weeks. But there's another.
So it's baffling. So now I had like the Sunday scaries on a Monday, and that
Yeah.
So, but it's been great having a business and having that flexibility to say, actually, now I don't start work until 10, because I can do the stress of the school run and all of that, emotional support. Like, you can do it, and then get home and be like, whew, and just sit.
You don't have to go. Yeah, you don't have to go straight into work. You can have a cup of tea while it's hot, and just sit and calm down again.
And process, yeah.
Because it's hot as well. And
Yeah.
I find juggling his ASD with my ASD and me trying to preempt what's gonna potentially trigger him is just it's a minefield.
Is a minefield. But again, I wouldn't change this working setup that I now have, because to think about where I was before, where I had one head teacher who was like this, I would walk in, obviously late, because he koala beared on me and I had to physically sit in the classroom for an hour and a half. To have somebody like this, when you turn up, like, I just couldn't live like that. So yeah, this has been phenomenal. And now he's thriving. I'm almost like, oh, maybe there was something else going on, but no, he still has those traits, but you can barely see, because the progress he's made is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But if he does need me again in that way, I'll be here.
And just knowing that is support in itself, that he knows that you can always rely on that.
Exactly, which is amazing. Do you also think? Sorry, I've just gone off piece. I know you've got your
No, go for it.
cover, but do you also think that it's great for them to see what we're doing in terms of entrepreneurship?
Yes, I did. I've got 3 children, and I did ask them each a couple of weeks ago what they think I do for work.
Brave.
And my youngest just looked at me like I was talking a foreign language and was like, nothing. As far as he's concerned, I'm just at home.
Yeah.
I sometimes go out in the evening if I'm going networking, but other than that, I'm just at home. So he doesn't think I do anything. My daughter, she's nearly 9, and she said, well, you're just on your phone. I was like, brilliant. Okay. And then my eldest is 11, about to start secondary school in September. And he said, I don't know, you're always on the computer. And I was like, but your dad's always on the computer. And you don't say it in quite the same way that you do for me. But yeah, something with computers and being on my phone a lot is all I do.
That's pretty much what my children say, although my eldest is now, he's less like narrow-minded in terms of got to do A-levels, got to do this, got to do that. He's like, oh, if it doesn't work out, I know that I can do something else. I can maybe work for myself. And I think that's a really great mindset
That's really good.
to have, that you don't necessarily get from school or from traditional, if your parents are doing traditional jobs or are employed. Your children are just getting a slightly different view on things, which is nice, refreshing.
Definitely. Yeah. When I was at school, it was just very much, I was going to school, then I'd go to university and I'd get a job. And that was my approach all the way through. And I did that, and it's fine. I don't use my degree at all. It was criminology and psychology, not really. Not
Still
really relevant.
Still paying.
Yeah, painfully. But now it's like, I don't think I can necessarily see any of my children going to university, because I just don't see that being the path they'll want to do necessarily. If they do, then that's fine. But yeah, I think it is very different now. And as you say, I think it's brilliant that they can see us as their mums, hopefully my children will catch up with the fact that I actually have a job, that we're forging our own careers.
Yeah, definitely. They will catch up. I mean, I've got a few years ahead. I mean, 18
Yeah,
has caught up, so you've got time.
hopefully.
So what is like your goal with the podcast? Like, how do you expect it to help or impact? Like, tell us.
To be honest, I started because I thought it would be something I'd enjoy. In itself, it would also create like little snippets of conversation that I could use on social media. But also, that my main thing in my head was that it would help other businesses, just give them a bit of a platform and a bit of content that they can then share if they want to, or put a link from their website to, because it all goes on YouTube as well. So a link to that, and I'm all about helping small local businesses. So if I can do that in any way, because it's not the type of thing that I make any money on, or I just do it
Mm.
purely because I enjoy it. So
And
I
I
don't know if anyone
love
wants to sponsor me one day doing it. That would be lovely, but
any
might be a
sponsors,
way of
please
like,
comment below. Sponsors, please tag yourself.
amazing.
Yeah, and that, you know what, that's what I loved about when you extended that invite to me, because yes, you know, people think entrepreneur, multimillionaire, six-figure business gets thrown around, but it was never about the money for me ever, which is
Yeah,
very disappointing to my accountant. But
yeah. I was thinking. Someone said the other day, like, is it 6% of businesses that turn over 100 grand are female
yeah,
owned?
yeah,
Which is a horrifying statistic. But I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be 100,000, a million. That's the financial side of it was never really a target in my eyes, because it was always about having something for myself that I can do flexibly around my children, around my home life. So it sounds great, as you said, being self-employed and entrepreneur and all that, but it's a very different reality, I think.
yeah. And it'll be really interesting for like anyone watching, like what was the main draw for you, like to be an entrepreneur? Was it the money? Like, was it the flexibility? Like Lucy and I, like it'll
Yeah,
be really interesting to know, because with the business owners who I work with, I'd say 80% of them, it's about that flexibility. Obviously, the money helps make the business sustainable. So, any sponsors, please do tag
definitely.
yourself. But apart
I
from
love that.
that, yeah, it's
Yeah,
the flexibility that it gives us that makes it
yeah,
worthwhile, and also making these connections that, you know, people who I
definitely.
connected with 2 years ago, we still meet up, we still go out, we still stay connected. So picking up friends along the way. Now, Lucy, you've got me forever. I should have mentioned that in our agreement.
I'm gonna go.
So I think that's really important as well and special.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like what we were saying with women running businesses and being entrepreneurial, that is such a small amount compared to a very male dominated world. I was speaking with someone a while ago and I said that I was going to a digital women event, and they're like, why is there digital women? Why isn't there digital men? And I was like, the whole world is digital men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we can have this one little thing that's just for us women.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So I've had a few conversations around that. And I think what people often forget is that there are other additional challenges that we have, in terms of we're not trying to be better than men, we're not trying to overtake. It's just about give us a little bit more support, because there's other challenges that we face that men aren't necessarily facing, but we still want to get
Yeah,
to that equal point so that we can contribute equally to society, to our family, to our relationships. Like,
yeah,
that's why we need these separate communities to help us overcome those extra challenges
yeah,
that we have. But we have to keep talking
definitely.
about it for people to get it.
That's it, yeah. And that was one of the things at the Digital Women event for International Women's Day. That was, I could have just, I think it went, it was about an hour and a half. I could have sat there all day just listening to you ladies talking about your perspectives and your opinions and things, because it was so insightful and completely relatable. And yeah, we need to do another one of those because it was really good.
Yeah, definitely do another one. We shouldn't have to wait another year to have these
Yeah, well, that's
conversations.
it. Like, I think that was something. I think Lucy Hall, who runs Digital Women, she put a post out saying that every day should be International Women's Day, and I completely agree with that. But then, yeah, we need to make the effort to do more of those events and talks more than just once a year.
100%. I agree with you. That's our call to action. More events and platforms like this, Lucy. So keep doing what you're
Yeah,
doing. Keep bringing these
thank
voices to
you.
the platform and sharing. And yeah, let me know how I can continue to support beyond today.
Oh, thank you. Well, maybe we could do one with you and Louise. Maybe after you've done your first batch like a boss, we can have a look
Yeah.
and see how that goes and how you're gonna adapt it or whatever going forward. See how it works.
Oh my goodness, yes. And I'm going to spill the beans a little bit on Louise. She's also chronic, does not like public speaking. But I did manage to get her on a panel in March. So baby steps. But I'm sure she'll be
There
up
we
for
go.
doing a podcast. Yeah, definitely. Great.
So, what advice would you give your younger self if you could go back in time, like about work or life, or about anything? What do you think you'd say?
Well, I think I'd say that life is not linear like this. I think as you mentioned, that we go to school, we do the GCSEs, we do the A levels, we go to uni, and then and then when things don't go that way, we feel like we failed. But actually, it's very rare that things go that way, and even if they do, you might still not be happy. So it's about accepting that things aren't a linear process in life, nor particularly not in business, and that is it's okay. You're not a failure because of that. So I'd
Yeah.
say that's what I would tell my younger self. What about you? What would you say?
No one's asked me that actually. I don't know. I would probably say something like, don't be so hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, obviously, with hindsight now, knowing I'm autistic, it explains an awful lot about how I felt growing up. And if I knew, if I'd been diagnosed earlier as a child, then I would have understood a lot more about myself and would have probably been a lot kinder to myself
Yeah,
about how
be kind to
I
them.
thought about things or how I approached things or yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice. And it's funny because we say what would we say to our younger self, but often that advice we need to also say to ourselves now in the present too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that is one thing since I got diagnosed last April, and since then that's one thing I learned quite quickly is don't be so hard on yourself and give myself a break, and it's okay. I am who I am, and that's okay in itself.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
that took me quite a while to get my head around, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see you on that journey. It's liberating.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been so lovely to talk to you. I always knew I wanted you as a guest on here because your energy is just, I love it. And your enthusiasm and everything. Good vibes. I love it.
Oh, thank you. And you got me on a Friday and there's still energy and good vibes left in the tank. I'm glad. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Amazing. Thank you so much, Lucy. Until the next one.
Exactly. That was just what I was going to say to the next one. And thank you so much to everyone for listening and watching. And we'll see you next time.